High in the Himalayas, where the world's tallest mountains touch the sky, live stories of a mysterious creature. The Yeti is said to be a large, hairy being that looks like a mix between a human and an ape. It walks on two legs and lives in the cold, lonely places high above the villages. Some people say it is a gentle giant that avoids humans and only wants to be left alone in its snowy home. Others tell frightening tales of a strong and dangerous beast that can bring bad luck or even harm to anyone who crosses its path. The Yeti is a reminder that even in our modern world there are still places that are unknown and full of mystery. It represents the untamed spirit of nature, a force that is both beautiful and a little bit scary. For many generations, these stories were known only to the people living in the shadow of the great Himalayan peaks. The Yeti was their secret, a figure that belonged to their folklore and their sacred landscapes. The creature appeared in their traditional songs, their religious art, and their evening stories told around the fire. It was as much a part of their environment as the soaring eagles and the quiet snow leopards. The idea of this wild man of the mountains helped to explain strange sounds in the night or unusual tracks found in the snow. It was a way to make sense of a world that was often harsh and difficult to understand. This powerful local legend was not just a simple fairy tale. It was deeply connected to the spiritual life of the Himalayan people, particularly those who follow Buddhism. The Yeti was seen as a guardian of the high mountain passes, a creature that existed between the world of humans and the world of spirits. It was respected and sometimes feared, a natural being that commanded a certain reverence. This deep cultural connection is why the idea of the Yeti has survived for so long. It is not just about a monster, it is about a way of looking at the world, where nature is full of wonder, power, and secrets that are yet to be discovered. In the early 20th century, the legend of the Yeti began to cross borders, evolving from a local Himalayan mystery into a global phenomenon. Reports of enormous, unexplained footprints imprinted in the pristine Himalayan snow started to circulate, their size and stride unlike any known animal in the region. The term meto kangmi, a phrase from the local dialect, was first translated in Western accounts. The translation process, however, was fraught with linguistic challenges, as the original words carried nuanced meanings that did not directly correspond to English. Through a combination of misunderstanding and sensationalism, the phrase was rendered as Abominable Snowman, a term that immediately conjured images of something both monstrous and mysterious. The Western press, always eager for stories of the unknown, seized upon this new name. Headlines blared across Europe and America, describing a terrifying creature lurking in the world's highest mountains. Newspapers and magazines published dramatic accounts, often accompanied by artist renderings of a towering, shaggy beast. The story was repeated and embellished, each retelling adding new details and heightening the sense of mystery. The image of a massive, elusive creature roaming the frozen wilderness became a symbol of the unknown, a living relic from a prehistoric past. Cartographers began to mark supposed Yeti sightings on maps, and scientific journals debated the plausibility of an undiscovered primate surviving in such harsh conditions. The myth gained momentum as it was referenced in academic circles, travel literature, and even official reports, lending it an air of credibility that fueled further speculation. The Western fascination with the Yeti soon extended beyond the written word. The creature became a fixture in popular culture, inspiring everything from radio dramas to collectible memorabilia. The successful ascent of Mount Everest in 1953 brought unprecedented attention to the Himalayas, and with it renewed interest in the Yeti legend. Newsreels and broadcasts highlighted the region's mysteries, and the Yeti became a recurring subject in documentaries and scientific discussions. Educational materials began to include references to the creature, and the legend was taught alongside the geography and natural history of the Himalayas. The story of the Abominable Snowman was broadcast into homes around the world, transforming it from a regional curiosity into a subject of international intrigue. the legend became intertwined with the spirit of exploration, symbolizing the enduring mysteries that still lingered in the world's most remote places. The harsh, forbidding landscape of the Himalayas provided the perfect backdrop for tales of a creature that defied both science and imagination. Museums and exhibitions began to feature displays dedicated to the Yeti, showcasing alleged evidence and artifacts linked to the legend. The myth's allure prompted a surge in expeditions, with organizations and institutions funding searches for physical proof of the creature's existence. Financial backing from private sponsors and media outlets ensured that the search for the Abominable Snowman became a highly publicized endeavor. Major publications organized and documented expeditions, publishing serialized accounts that captivated audiences and kept the legend alive in the public imagination. The government of Nepal capitalized on the phenomenon by issuing official permits for Yeti searches, formalizing the legend's place in both local policy and international tourism. The myth of the Abominable Snowman, once confined to the icy slopes of the Himalayas, had become a worldwide obsession, its story shaped by translation, media, and the enduring human fascination with the unknown. In the heart of the Himalayas, where the snow lies undisturbed for months, a single line of massive footprints can appear overnight, silent, enigmatic, and utterly out of place. These tracks, often measuring up to 13 inches in length and far wider than any known animal, have become the centerpiece of the Yeti mystery. Each print is sharply defined, with deep impressions that suggest a creature of immense weight. The stride length between prints is consistent, indicating a bipedal gait, one that is both powerful and deliberate. The snow around the tracks remains pristine, with no sign of disturbance from wings, tails, or dragging limbs. The most striking feature of these prints is the unique toe arrangement. Unlike the rounded, clustered toes of bears or the narrow, pointed tracks of wolves, these prints display a broad, splayed forefoot with a distinct thumb-like big toe set apart from the others. The depth and clarity of the impressions reveal not only the size, but also the anatomical structure of the foot, with a pronounced arch and a well-defined heel. In some cases, the snow within the print is compacted to a density that suggests a creature weighing several hundred pounds. The edges of the tracks are crisp, indicating recent formation and minimal wind erosion. Snow crystals within the prints remain undisturbed, further supporting the idea that these tracks were made by a single heavy animal moving through the landscape with purpose. The trail of prints often leads across treacherous terrain, steep ridges, frozen riverbanks, and deep, isolated valleys. The stride remains steady even as the ground shifts beneath the snow, suggesting a creature well adapted to the harsh, icy environment. In some instances, the tracks ascend sheer slopes or vanish into glacier caves, leaving no further trace. Detailed analysis of the prints reveals pressure points and anatomical features not found in local fauna. The midfoot region shows a unique flexion, while the heel impression is broader and deeper than that of any known animal. The toe splay is consistent across multiple prints, indicating a stable plantigrade stance. Environmental conditions play a crucial role in the preservation and distortion of these tracks. Fresh snowfall can partially obscure the prints, while sunlight and temperature fluctuations may cause the edges to melt and refreeze, subtly altering their appearance. However, the most compelling tracks are those found in sheltered locations where wind and sun have had little opportunity to interfere. Comparative studies with known animal tracks, such as those of bears, wolves, and large ungulates, consistently fail to match the size, shape, and stride of the mysterious prints. Even when accounting for overlapping tracks or unusual gaits, the unique anatomical features remain unexplained. Some researchers have attempted to recreate the prints using casts of animal feet, but the results lack the distinctive toe arrangement and pressure distribution seen in the original tracks. The depth and clarity of the impressions suggest a living creature rather than a hoax or accidental formation. The possibility of natural phenomena, such as melting and refreezing, is always considered. Yet, the most detailed and undisturbed prints defy simple explanations. The snow within the prints remains compacted and granular, with no evidence of slumping or collapse. In rare instances, the tracks are accompanied by other signs, tufts of coarse, unidentified hair caught on low branches, or faint impressions of knuckles and palms where the creature may have paused or shifted its weight. These traces, though rare, add another layer of intrigue to the investigation. The search for answers continues, with each new discovery adding to the growing body of evidence. High-resolution photography, 3D scanning and detailed field measurements are now standard practice, allowing for precise documentation and analysis of every print. As the investigation deepens, the footprints in the snow remain the most tangible link to the legend of the Yeti, a silent testament to the possibility that something unknown still roams the frozen heights of the Himalayas. Deep within the remote valleys and high ridges of the Himalayas, Buddhist monasteries stand as silent sentinels, their stone walls sheltering some of the most enigmatic relics ever discovered. These sacred sanctuaries, often accessible only by treacherous mountain paths, have long been the keepers of objects believed to be linked to the legendary Yeti. Within these hallowed halls, relics are preserved under strict ritual protocols. Each artifact is meticulously catalogued, its provenance recorded in centuries-old scrolls, and its display governed by complex rules of monastic tradition. Among the most renowned relics is the so-called Kumjung scalp, a cone-shaped patch of coarse, dark hair encased in a glass reliquary. The artifact's texture is unlike that of any known domestic animal, with each strand thick and wiry, its colour shifting subtly in the dim light. The scalp's preservation is a testament to the monastery's expertise in ancient conservation techniques. Layers of herbal oils and mineral dusts sourced from the surrounding mountains have been applied over generations to prevent decay and repel insects. The relic is stored in a climate-controlled chamber, its temperature and humidity regulated by a combination of architectural design and natural airflow. The box itself is a masterpiece, carved from Himalayan juniper and inlaid with semi-precious stones, ensuring both security and spiritual sanctity. Rituals surrounding the relics are performed at dawn and dusk, with the ringing of bells and the spinning of prayer wheels believed to invoke blessings and protection for the sacred objects. The monastery's isolation has allowed these relics to remain undisturbed by the outside world for centuries. Local wildlife, from elusive snow leopards to herds of blue sheep, roam the grounds, their presence woven into the legends that surround the Yeti. Some relics are so secretive that their existence is known only through cryptic references in ancient maps and coded manuscripts. These documents, written in a blend of Sanskrit and Tibetan, describe the locations and supposed powers of the Yeti relics, hinting at hidden chambers and forgotten caches. Another famed artifact is the Pangbochi hand, a mummified appendage with elongated fingers and leathery skin. The hand's preservation is remarkable, achieved through a combination of high-altitude desiccation and the application of rare mountain salts and resins. The relics are often stored in alcoves carved directly into the living rock of the monastery, insulated from the elements by layers of dried juniper and yak wool. The constant mountain wind filtered through narrow vents helps maintain a stable environment, further aiding in the preservation of these ancient objects. Each relic is accompanied by a hand-written label, often in gold or vermilion ink, describing its origin and the legends attached to it. Some labels reference encounters with mysterious creatures, their descriptions blending folklore with natural history. At night, the relic chambers take on an otherworldly atmosphere. The silence is broken only by the distant call of wild animals and the soft creak of ancient timbers. As the relics rest undisturbed, their mysteries preserved for another day. Scientific analysis of these relics has revealed fascinating details. Mineral incrustations, unique to the high Himalayas, are embedded in the hair and bone, while microscopic examination shows a complex layering of organic and inorganic material, the result of centuries of careful preservation. Modern DNA testing has been able to identify the origins of some relics, revealing connections to native Himalayan species such as the Siro and the Tibetan blue bear. These findings have provided valuable insights into the biodiversity of the region, even as they challenge the more fantastical aspects of the Yeti legend. The comparison of relics with known animal specimens has become a key part of ongoing research, helping to distinguish between myth and reality while honoring the deep cultural significance of these objects. As the sun sets over the Himalayas, the relics are once again sealed away, their secrets locked within the ancient stones of the monastery. Though science has unraveled some of their mysteries, the aura of the unknown endures, woven into the very fabric of these sacred places. In the last decade, the quest to uncover the truth behind the Yeti has shifted from the wind-swept Himalayan slopes to the precision and sterility of the scientific laboratory. Here, the search is no longer about footprints in the snow, but about the microscopic signatures left behind by living creatures, DNA. Modern genetic technology allows researchers to analyze even the tiniest fragments of biological material, hair, bone, skin, or scat, collected from the wild. These samples, often preserved for years in cold, dark storage, are carefully catalogued and prepared for analysis, ensuring that no contamination from other species can occur. Each sample is meticulously examined for integrity. Under powerful microscopes, the cellular structure of hair shafts and bone fragments is scrutinized, searching for the best preserved material from which to extract genetic information. The process is painstaking, as even a single degraded cell can yield valuable clues. DNA is extracted using advanced chemical processes, then amplified through polymerase chain reaction, or PCR. This technique multiplies the genetic material, making it possible to sequence even the faintest traces of DNA left behind by elusive animals. Once sequenced, the DNA is compared against vast genetic databases containing the profiles of thousands of known species. Sophisticated algorithms search for matches, revealing whether a sample belongs to a common animal or something truly extraordinary. Over the years, many samples believed to be from the Yeti have been subjected to this rigorous analysis. Most have been identified as belonging to familiar Himalayan fauna, brown bears, horses, cows, wolves, and other mammals that roam the region's forests and highlands. These findings suggest that many Yeti sightings may be cases of mistaken identity, with local wildlife leaving behind traces that are later misattributed to the legendary creature. Yet not all results have been so easily explained. In a landmark study, 2 hair samples collected from remote Himalayan locations yielded DNA sequences that did not match any living animal in the global database. Instead, the genetic code closely resembled that of an ancient polar bear, a species thought to have vanished thousands of years ago. This discovery sparked a new hypothesis. Perhaps the Yeti was not a primate, but a rare, unknown bear species, possibly a relic population descended from ancient polar bears that once roamed the region during the last ice age. The theory captured the imagination of the scientific community and the public alike, generating headlines and renewed interest in the possibility of undiscovered megafauna surviving in the Himalayas. However, the scientific process demands verification. Independent laboratories re-examined the original DNA data, employing even more sensitive sequencing techniques and updated genetic databases. These follow-up studies revealed a subtle error in the initial analysis. The mysterious DNA was not from an ancient polar bear, but from a Himalayan brown bear, its genetic code slightly altered by age and environmental degradation, which had caused the initial confusion. This correction, while disappointing to some, was a testament to the self-correcting nature of science. Each new analysis, Each re-examination of the data brings us closer to the truth, even if it means letting go of thrilling possibilities. The case of the Yeti's DNA remains a powerful example of how modern science can unravel ancient mysteries, one molecule at a time. The legend endures, but for now, the evidence points to the remarkable diversity of life already known to inhabit the Himalayas. The most comprehensive and definitive scientific study on the Yeti was published in 2017. A team of scientists led by Dr. Charlotte Lindqvist embarked on the most rigorous genetic analysis ever attempted to uncover the truth behind the Yeti legend. They meticulously analyzed not just small fragments of DNA, but the complete mitochondrial genome from 9 different samples purported to be from a Yeti. These samples included hair, bone, skin, and even feces, collected from various locations across the Himalayas and the Tibetan Plateau. The samples were meticulously preserved and included pieces of supposed relics from monasteries, adding a layer of historical intrigue to the scientific investigation. This comprehensive collection process ensured a diverse and representative sample set, crucial for a thorough genetic analysis. The study was designed to be the ultimate test for the Yeti legend, leaving no stone unturned. The results of Dr. Lindqvist's study were unequivocal and left very little room for doubt. Every single one of the 9 Yeti samples was identified as belonging to known animal species. There was no genetic evidence supporting the existence of an unknown primate or a mysterious ancient bear. The vast majority of the samples were a perfect match for local bear species, specifically the Himalayan brown bear, the Tibetan blue bear, and the Asiatic black bear. These findings were consistent across the board, with some samples even matching the DNA of domestic animals, such as a tooth sample that belonged to a dog. The science was conclusive. The physical evidence for the Yeti pointed directly to the bears that inhabit the region. This study provided a robust scientific explanation for the Yeti legend, attributing it to the misidentification of local bear species. The Himalayan brown bear, in particular, is a rare and elusive animal that resides in high-altitude regions, often leading to brief and ambiguous sightings. This bear is a large and powerful creature, capable of standing on its hind legs, which can make it appear surprisingly human-like from a distance. It's easy to see how a fleeting glimpse of one of these bears, especially in poor lighting or from a distance, could be mistaken for a Yeti. The bear's tracks, their occasional upright postures, and their reclusive nature all align perfectly with the stories that have been passed down through generations. Therefore, the scientific conclusion is that the Yeti is not a real biological creature waiting to be discovered. It is a myth, a legend rooted in the very real presence of bears. The stories of a wild, hairy man of the mountains are likely a cultural interpretation of encounters with these elusive animals. Dr. Lindqvist's research did not destroy the legend, but it provided a logical, natural origin for it. The Abominable Snowman of Western imagination and the Wild Man of Himalayan folklore are, in all likelihood, the magnificent bears that share their remote, beautiful, and unforgiving home. The scientific analysis has thus transformed the mythical Yeti into a testament to the awe-inspiring wildlife that inhabits the Himalayas. Throughout the 20th century, the relentless pursuit of the Yeti drew scientific teams and explorers from around the world to the remote, icy reaches of the Himalayas. These expeditions, often meticulously planned and equipped with the latest technology of their era, sought to unravel the mystery behind the legendary creature. In the aftermath of the 1950s Yeti craze, expeditions became increasingly sophisticated. Teams arrived with crates of scientific instruments, including Geiger counters, motion-activated cameras, and portable laboratories, all designed to capture evidence in the most inhospitable environments on Earth. Vast base camps were established at high altitudes, with researchers braving sub-zero temperatures and unpredictable blizzards. These camps served as operational hubs for weeks or even months, allowing for systematic searches across glaciers, alpine forests and windswept plateaus. Camera traps were strategically positioned along animal trails and in secluded valleys, while casts were made of every unusual footprint discovered in the snow. Each print was carefully measured, photographed, and catalogued for later analysis. The expeditions also deployed long-range microphones to capture unexplained sounds and collected hair, scat, and other biological samples from the environment, hoping to find DNA evidence of an unknown species. Among the most notable was the 1960 Himalayan scientific and mountaineering expedition, led by Sir Edmund Hillary. This mission was distinguished by its rigorous scientific approach and the breadth of its investigations. The team, composed of zoologists, anthropologists, and mountaineers, conducted exhaustive fieldwork. They mapped the region's biodiversity, documented animal tracks, and collected samples from remote caves and high-altitude meadows. Over 10 months, the expedition amassed a trove of data, including hair samples, droppings, and detailed casts of footprints. Each specimen was subjected to laboratory analysis, with findings meticulously recorded in scientific journals. One of their most famous investigations centered on the so-called Kumjung scalp, a revered artifact believed by locals to be from a Yeti. Through microscopic examination and protein analysis, the team determined it was crafted from the hide of a Himalayan sero, a type of goat antelope. The team also compared dozens of footprint casts, analyzing stride length, toe arrangement, and depth in the snow. Their findings consistently matched known wildlife such as bears and large primates, rather than an undiscovered hominid. In the 1980s, the renowned mountaineer Reinhold Messner undertook his own extensive investigations. His approach combined field observation with ecological study, focusing on the natural history of the region's elusive mammals. During a solitary trek in Tibet in 1986, Messner reported a startling encounter with a large, upright creature. He documented the event in detail, noting the animal's behavior, vocalizations, and the environmental conditions at the time. This encounter prompted Messner to launch a multi-year study, during which he tracked animal populations, analyzed scat, and recorded nocturnal sounds across the Tibetan Plateau and the Nepalese Himalayas. Messner's research included interviews with local herders and the collection of regional folklore, which he cross-referenced with his own field data to identify patterns in reported sightings. After years of investigation, Messner concluded that the so-called Yeti was most likely a rare, reclusive bear species, whose tracks and behaviors had been misinterpreted over generations. His findings pointed specifically to the Tibetan blue bear and the Himalayan brown bear, both of which leave distinctive tracks and are known for their elusive nature. Despite the scale and sophistication of these expeditions, no conclusive evidence of the Yeti has ever been produced. Traps remained empty, and samples, when analyzed, always matched known species. Photographs and film footage, often blurry or ambiguous, failed to provide the clarity needed for scientific validation. No remains, such as bones or teeth, have ever been recovered that could not be attributed to recognized animals. In 2019, the Indian Army released images of large footprints in the snow, sparking global headlines. However, detailed analysis by zoologists and trackers revealed the prints were likely the result of overlapping bear tracks, distorted by thawing snow. The chronicles of Yeti expeditions are filled with scientific rigor, technological innovation, and the enduring allure of the unknown. Yet after decades of searching, the Yeti remains an enigma, its existence unproven, its legend undiminished. The legend of the Yeti, while rooted in the icy heights of the Himalayas, is echoed in the wild, uncharted corners of nearly every continent. Across the world, remote landscapes, untouched by human hands, harbor tales of elusive, enigmatic beings that seem to exist just beyond the reach of civilization. In the vast Siberian wilderness, the Chuchunya is said to roam, described as a towering fur-covered creature adapted to the harsh frozen taiga. In the Scottish Highlands, legends whisper of the Am Fearliath Mor, or the Big Grey Man, a spectral presence haunting the slopes of Ben Macdui, shrouded in fog and mystery. In the rainforests of Sumatra, the Orang Pendek is reported, smaller than the Yeti, but equally elusive, with reddish fur and remarkable strength. In the Congo Basin, the legend of the Mokele Mbembe persists, a creature said to be a living relic of a prehistoric age, glimpsed only in the deepest, most inaccessible swamps. The Almas of Central Asia is described as a robust bipedal being, covered in coarse hair, with a pronounced brow and deep-set eyes, features reminiscent of ancient hominins. In North America, the Sasquatch, or Bigfoot, is said to traverse the endless forests of the Pacific Northwest, leaving behind massive footprints and a lingering sense of awe. In the highlands of New Guinea, the Yoi of Australia, and the Hibagan of Japan, each region's wild man is shaped by its unique environment, adapted to survive in the most forbidding terrain, blending seamlessly with the landscape and vanishing at the slightest hint of intrusion. Physical evidence is rare and often ambiguous. Massive footprints, tufts of coarse hair, and fleeting shadows that vanish before they can be properly observed. The environments these creatures are said to inhabit are often so remote and inhospitable that even the most determined scientific expeditions struggle to penetrate their depths. Some of the most compelling clues come from the distant past. Ancient cave paintings and petroglyphs found from the Pyrenees to the Altai depict towering, upright figures walking among animals now long extinct. Fossilized footprints and enormous teeth hint at the existence of giant primates such as Gigantopithecus that once roamed the forests of Asia. The Gigantopithecus, a colossal ape that lived in Southeast Asia until about 300,000 years ago, is often cited as a possible inspiration for wild man legends. Its immense size and mysterious disappearance have fueled speculation that isolated populations could have survived in the most inaccessible forests, giving rise to tales of the Yeti and its global kin. Despite centuries of exploration, the wild men of legend remain just out of reach, seen only in the periphery, heard in the rustle of leaves or the echo of an unidentifiable call. Their habitats are among the last true wildernesses on Earth, places where the boundaries between myth and reality blur. The persistence of these legends across continents and centuries suggests a deep-rooted human fascination with the unknown. The Yeti and its counterparts are more than mere stories. They are reflections of the wild, untamed world that still exists beyond the reach of modern civilization and of the ancient creatures that may once have called it home. As science continues to probe the mysteries of our planet, the wild men of legend serve as a reminder of how much remains undiscovered. Whether rooted in ancient memory, inspired by real but now extinct animals, or born from the imagination, these stories endure, testament to the enduring allure of the unknown and the possibility that somewhere in the world's last wild places, something extraordinary may still be waiting to be found. Despite rigorous scientific investigation revealing that so-called Yeti evidence often traces back to Himalayan brown bears, snow leopards, and other indigenous wildlife, the legend of the Yeti endures, deeply embedded in the very landscape of the Himalayas. The persistence of this myth is not merely a product of folklore, but a reflection of the region's extreme remoteness and ecological complexity. Vast inaccessible forests and valleys remain largely unexplored, providing ample opportunity for misidentification and fueling speculation about unknown creatures. The region's challenging terrain and unpredictable weather conditions often obscure clear observation, making it difficult to distinguish between species or even confirm sightings. In such an environment, ambiguous evidence, such as footprints, tufts of fur, or fleeting shadows, can easily be interpreted as proof of a mysterious being. The Yeti legend is further sustained by the region's unique biodiversity, which includes rare and elusive mammals whose behaviors and appearances are not fully documented. Animals such as the Himalayan brown bear and the snow leopard, both masters of camouflage and stealth, are frequently mistaken for something more extraordinary. The interplay of light, shadow, and weather in these high-altitude environments can create optical illusions, further blurring the line between reality and myth. Even with modern technology, vast stretches of the Himalayas remain unmapped and unmonitored, leaving room for the unknown to persist. Scientific efforts to document wildlife are often hampered by the region's inaccessibility, extreme cold, and limited infrastructure, resulting in gaps in our understanding. Occasionally, the discovery of unusual remains or tracks, later identified as belonging to known species, briefly reignites speculation about the Yeti's existence. The transience of physical evidence in such a dynamic environment ensures that definitive answers remain elusive. The Himalayas' ecological richness means that new species are still occasionally discovered, lending credibility to the idea that something as large as the Yeti could remain undetected. This ongoing process of scientific discovery keeps the door open for the possibility of unknown creatures. The legend also persists because it embodies the enduring mystery of the natural world, a reminder that not all secrets have been revealed, even in the age of satellite imagery and global exploration. The idea of the Yeti serves as a symbol of the wild, untamable forces that still exist beyond the reach of human influence. It is a testament to the power and scale of the Himalayas, where nature's processes continue largely undisturbed. The Yeti legend inadvertently draws attention to the fragility and uniqueness of these high-altitude environments. Conservation efforts, inspired in part by the search for the Yeti, have led to increased protection of remote habitats and the species that inhabit them. By safeguarding the supposed home of the Yeti, conservationists also protect real, endangered animals whose survival depends on these isolated ecosystems. Scientific analysis of alleged Yeti samples has advanced our understanding of Himalayan biodiversity, revealing genetic links between populations and clarifying species distribution. These investigations have contributed valuable data to the fields of zoology, genetics, and conservation biology. The legend also persists because the Himalayas still harbor unexplored caves, valleys, and ice fields, places where the unknown can plausibly exist. Geological and climatic changes continually reshape the landscape, occasionally revealing new mysteries and fueling speculation. The sheer scale and isolation of the Himalayas foster an environment where myths can thrive, unchallenged by direct observation. In these conditions, the boundary between reality and legend remains intentionally blurred. The Yeti endures as a symbol of the mysteries that still lie hidden in the world's most remote places. It challenges us to remain curious, to respect the unknown, and to continue exploring with humility and wonder. The legend's persistence is a testament to the enduring allure of the wild, a reminder that, even in a mapped and measured world, some mysteries remain unsolved. The Yeti may never be found, but its presence lingers in the unexplored corners of the Himalayas, in the fleeting evidence left behind by elusive animals, and in the enduring mystery that defines the world's highest mountains. Watch Gap 2s. As the legend of the Yeti endures, it invites us to ponder not just the mystery of its existence, but its hypothetical ecological impact on the Himalayan ecosystem. Imagine, if you will, an apex predator or a highly elusive omnivore roaming these high-altitude landscapes. Such a creature would undoubtedly play a crucial role in the delicate balance of this unique environment. In the realm of ecology, apex predators are vital in maintaining the health and diversity of their ecosystems. They regulate the populations of prey species, preventing overgrazing and promoting vegetation growth. If the Yeti were a real entity, its presence would mirror that of other large predators, such as the snow leopard or the Himalayan brown bear. These predators keep herbivore populations in check, which in turn supports a diverse array of plant life, fostering a balanced and resilient ecosystem. The hypothetical presence of the Yeti could also impact scavenger species. In ecosystems where large predators are present, scavengers like vultures, crows, and smaller carnivores rely on the remains of the predator's meals. This scavenging behavior is crucial for nutrient recycling, ensuring that no part of a carcass goes to waste and that nutrients return to the soil to support plant growth. The Yeti, if it existed, would contribute to this nutrient cycle, supporting a complex web of life. Furthermore, the Yeti's potential role as an elusive omnivore suggests it might have a varied diet, including plants, small animals, and perhaps even fish from glacial streams. This dietary flexibility would allow the Yeti to adapt to the harsh and changing conditions of the Himalayas, much like other adaptable species in the region. Such an omnivore would influence the distribution and abundance of various plant and animal species, contributing to the dynamic equilibrium of the ecosystem. The presence of a large, elusive creature like the Yeti would also have indirect effects on other wildlife. For instance, prey species might develop heightened vigilance and more sophisticated escape strategies, enhancing their evolutionary fitness. The Yeti's hypothetical predation pressure could drive the development of unique adaptations in prey species, such as improved camouflage, faster running speeds, or more complex social behaviors. In addition to these direct ecological roles, the legend of the Yeti has spurred scientific interest and conservation efforts in the Himalayas. The search for the Yeti has led to the discovery of new species and a deeper understanding of the region's biodiversity. Conservation areas established to protect the supposed habitat of the Yeti have inadvertently safeguarded numerous other species, from the elusive snow leopard to the rare red panda. These protected areas serve as critical refuges for wildlife and help maintain the ecological integrity of the Himalayas. The Yeti, whether real or imagined, symbolizes the unknown and the untamed. It represents the complex interplay of species and ecosystems that continue to thrive in one of the most challenging environments on Earth. The legend encourages us to explore, to protect, and to understand the intricate web of life that exists in the shadow of the world's highest peaks. In conclusion, while the Yeti remains a creature of myth and mystery, its ecological impact, real or imagined, serves as a reminder of the importance of predators in maintaining the health of ecosystems. The legend of the Yeti invites us to appreciate the delicate balance of nature and to continue our efforts to protect and conserve the remarkable biodiversity of the Himalayas. In the end, the Yeti's true legacy may lie not in its discovery, but in the enduring fascination and conservation efforts it inspires. Long before the Yeti captured the attention of Western explorers and scientists, its legend was deeply woven into the oral traditions of Himalayan peoples. Among the Sherpa, Lepcha, and Tibetan communities, tales of the Yeti, as the creature is locally known, have been passed down for centuries, each story steeped in symbolism and ancient wisdom. In these ancient accounts, the Yeti is rarely portrayed as a mere beast. Instead, it occupies a spiritual space, often regarded as a guardian of the high mountains and remote valleys. According to Sherpa folklore, the Yeti is a caretaker of sacred places, dwelling in the shadowy forests and icy ridges where humans seldom tread. Its presence is considered both a warning and a blessing, reminding villagers to respect the boundaries between the human world and the wild, untamed realms of the mountains. Lepcha legends describe the Yeti as a shapeshifter, able to blend seamlessly into the mist and snow. Some say it can vanish entirely, becoming one with the landscape, a spirit of the mountains rather than a flesh and blood animal. In these stories, the Yeti is credited with supernatural abilities. It can summon storms to shield its territory or lead lost travelers to safety, depending on their intentions and reverence for nature. Ancient Buddhist texts from Himalayan monasteries refer to the Migo, a wild man believed to possess both immense strength and deep wisdom. Monks have long recounted sightings of enormous footprints at the tree line or strange calls echoing through the valleys at dusk. These signs are interpreted not as threats, but as reminders of the interconnectedness of all beings, seen and unseen, in the mountain's spiritual tapestry. Local traditions also warn against disrespecting the Yeti's domain. Folklore tells of hunters who ventured too far or defiled sacred glades, only to find themselves lost in a sudden blizzard or haunted by unsettling dreams. Offerings of food and prayer are left at the edges of forests and streams, gestures of humility toward the elusive guardian believed to watch from the shadows. Across the Himalayas, the Yeti endures not as a monster but as a symbol of the mysteries that still linger in the world's wild places. Its legend is a living testament to the reverence Himalayan cultures hold for their environment, a narrative that binds community, landscape and spirit in a single enduring myth. While the legend of the Yeti is steeped in folklore and mystery, scientists have turned to the unique environment of the Himalayas for rational explanations behind the elusive creature's sightings. The region's extreme geography, towering peaks, deep gorges and labyrinthine forests creates the perfect stage for mistaken perceptions and optical illusions. High-altitude weather patterns play a major role. Sudden snowstorms and shifting mists can obscure vision, transforming ordinary wildlife into shadowy, towering figures. In particular, the Himalayan brown bear and the Tibetan blue bear, both rare and rarely seen, have been repeatedly mistaken for upright, ape-like creatures when glimpsed from a distance or through swirling snow. These bears sometimes rear up on their hind legs to survey their surroundings, briefly resembling the bipedal silhouette often attributed to the Yeti. Avalanches and wind-driven snow can also create large, human-like tracks across icy slopes. The freeze-thaw cycles common in the mountains cause footprints, whether made by animals or humans, to melt and refreeze, expanding their size and distorting their shape. The result, enormous, ambiguous tracks that fuel tales of giant, mysterious beings. Acoustic phenomena further complicate matters. Sound travels unpredictably in the thin, cold air of the Himalayas. Distant animal calls, rock falls, or even the crack of shifting glaciers can echo and warp, becoming unrecognizable cries that feed the myth of a hidden mountain dweller. Additionally, the region's biodiversity includes several little-known species, such as the red panda or the elusive musk deer. These animals, rarely observed by outsiders, may appear highly unusual to those unfamiliar with their behaviors or silhouettes, especially at dusk or in poor visibility. Finally, altitude-induced hypoxia, reduced oxygen levels at high elevations, can cause hallucinations, disorientation, and heightened suggestibility in trekkers and locals alike. In these altered mental states, fleeting glimpses and ambiguous sounds can easily be woven into the fabric of the Yeti legend. By scrutinizing these environmental factors, scientists provide plausible, natural explanations for many reported Yeti encounters. Yet the legend persists, fueled by the interplay of nature's tricks and the enduring allure of the unknown. While the Yeti is often discussed in terms of footprints and eyewitness accounts, its presence is also deeply embedded in the art and symbolism of Himalayan cultures. Across the region, depictions of the so-called wild man of the snows appear in unexpected places, from intricate monastery murals to ancient ritual masks, and even in everyday objects crafted by local artisans. In centuries-old Buddhist monasteries scattered across Nepal and Tibet, wall paintings sometimes feature enigmatic ape-like figures lurking among the snowy peaks. These images are not mere artistic flights of fancy. Instead, they serve as visual allegories, representing untamed natural forces or the ever-present mysteries of the mountains. Monks and artists use specific iconography. The Yeti is often portrayed with exaggerated shaggy fur, a hunched posture, and wide, watchful eyes, attributes designed to evoke both fear and respect for the unknown. Traditional Thangka paintings, revered for their religious significance, occasionally include the Yeti in the background, symbolizing the boundary between the spiritual world and the wild, unpredictable realm beyond civilization. In these works, the creature is neither wholly demonized nor celebrated. It is a reminder of nature's power and the humility required to coexist with it. The Yeti's influence extends to ritual objects as well. In remote villages, ceremonial masks, carved from wood and painted with natural pigments, sometimes bear striking resemblances to the legendary creature. These masks are worn during festivals that celebrate the changing of the seasons, invoking the Yeti as a guardian spirit who protects the forests and highland pastures. Even utilitarian items reflect the legend. Hand-woven carpets and textiles might feature stylized footprints or shadowy figures woven into their patterns, a subtle nod to the stories passed down through generations. For many Himalayan peoples, the Yeti is not just a monster or myth. It is a symbol of the unknown, a force woven into the fabric of daily life and spiritual practice. Through these artistic expressions, the Yeti endures as both a cultural guardian and a reminder of the vast, untamed world that surrounds the Himalayan communities. Its image, shaped by local beliefs and artistic traditions, continues to evolve, ensuring that the legend remains alive not just in stories, but in the very art and symbols that define the region. In the remote highlands of the Himalayas, wildlife experts and local herders have long reported strange animal behaviors that defy easy explanation. These incidents, often attributed to the elusive Yeti, reveal another layer to the legend, one grounded not in folklore but in the subtle patterns of the natural world. Throughout the alpine forests and icy plateaus, Himalayan blue sheep, or burrel, sometimes exhibit sudden, coordinated panics. Entire herds have been observed abandoning prime grazing grounds overnight, leaving behind only scattered tufts of fur and deep, erratic tracks in the snow. Camera traps, set up to monitor snow leopard movements, have occasionally captured footage of musk deer freezing in place, ears twitching as if sensing an unseen predator. Yet no known animal appears within the frame. Yak herders report finding livestock huddled together in tight circles at dawn, their eyes wide and their coats damp with dew, signs of a restless, fearful night. In some cases, yaks are discovered with unusual wounds, deep scratches or twisted horns, inconsistent with attacks by wolves or bears. These unexplained injuries are often blamed on the Yeti, believed by locals to be a nocturnal prowler with immense strength. Even the region's elusive red pandas, typically shy and secretive, have been found abandoning their usual feeding areas after nights of heavy snowfall. Researchers note that these shifts in animal movement do not correspond with known weather events or predator activity. Instead, they align with local accounts of strange calls echoing through the valleys, low, guttural sounds that do not match the vocalizations of any documented Himalayan species. Biologists investigating these phenomena have collected tufts of coarse, greyish hair snagged on tree bark and deep, humanoid prints pressed into the mud beside mountain streams. DNA analysis has yet to fully explain these findings, leaving a gap between science and legend. While skeptics argue that these behaviors may be triggered by environmental stress or undiscovered predators, the consistency of local reports and the absence of clear scientific explanations keep the mystery alive. For many in the mountains, these unexplained animal reactions are not just random events, but subtle evidence of a hidden presence, one that leaves its mark not only in folklore, but in the very fabric of Himalayan wildlife. Across the isolated villages and windswept monasteries of the Himalayas, the legend of the Yeti is woven into daily life, not only as a creature of mystery, but as a powerful presence that commands deep respect. In these high-altitude communities, the Yeti is more than a myth. It shapes the rhythms of tradition, influencing rituals that have endured for centuries. Many villagers perform seasonal offerings at the edges of forests and mountain passes, believed to be frequented by the Yeti. Small cairns of stones, adorned with prayer flags and juniper branches, are constructed as silent gestures of peace. Butter lamps are lit at dusk, their flickering flames meant to appease the mountain spirits and ensure safe passage for both humans and livestock. Monks chant age-old mantras, their voices echoing through the valleys, invoking protection from unseen forces often associated with the Yeti's domain. During key festivals such as Losar, the Tibetan New Year, elaborate dances and masked performances are staged to honor mountain guardians. Some masks, with their shaggy hair and exaggerated features, are direct representations of the Yeti, symbolizing both fear and reverence. These performances are not intended to mock, but to acknowledge the creature's place as a guardian of the wild, a being that must be respected and never provoked. Local herders follow strict taboos when traversing remote grazing lands. It is customary to leave a portion of food or a pinch of tsampa flour on a rock as an offering, a silent pact to avoid the Yeti's wrath. Whistling or shouting is discouraged in certain valleys, believed to attract unwanted attention from the mountain man. Even the simple act of collecting firewood is sometimes preceded by a murmured prayer, seeking permission from the spirits said to dwell in the shadows. These traditions extend to the architecture of remote shrines. Some are built with unusually high thresholds, a subtle nod to the legend that the Yeti cannot cross certain boundaries. Others display carved effigies or painted murals depicting the creature alongside snow leopards and eagles, elevating it to the status of a protector, albeit a fearsome one. For Himalayan communities, these rituals are not just superstition, but a way to coexist with the unknown. By honoring the Yeti through acts of respect and ritual, villagers hope to maintain balance between the human world and the untamed wilderness that surrounds them. In this way, the Yeti's influence endures, not only in stories, but in the living traditions that shape life in the shadow of the world's highest peaks.